DJ D Phoenix.
There we go. Okay.
Robert.
Robert.
DJ D Phoenix. You are. Good.
Robert.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well, mister. How are you?
Not bad at all.
Good. So good to see you again.
Likewise.
Yeah. And please tell me you haven't been hanging out in the room for the last hour.
No.
Okay, good. Good. We just got off of an interview just minutes ago with Rusty Egan. And, and actually, it was kind of hard to get out of the interview. I'm like, I got to go hang out with Robert for a while. So anyway,
Rusty likes to talk.
Little bit.
Oh, it was so great. So
I didn't even get a chance to ask him a question. So
hard to get a question in edgewise.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
but great guy.
How's things with you?
Good, very good. Yeah, just got back from the UK. Been touring over there a little bit, and
nice.
You know, doing what we do.
Awesome. Did you go hang out with the kids while you were over there?
Yeah, of course.
Good.
I'm always down with the kids, man. You know that.
Well, no doubt. That's why they're there, and you're where you're at.
Yes.
Exactly. Did you two get a chance to meet or introduce yourselves yet?
Very, very briefly. My name is Jeff. I go by DJ Duckie as well. Pleasure to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you too, Jeff.
Absolute pleasure.
And I go by DJ D Phoenix, and I'm Darren, by the way.
I know who you are.
And I know who you are, Dr. Okay. Robert. Oh my gosh. Let's just get right into this.
You do.
What's that?
You think you do?
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Huh?
Nobody knows anyone, right? Not that well.
Not really.
And that's the way we like it.
One of my fave lines from Miller's Crossing.
All
right. Let's. I'm going to go ahead. I'll introduce us, and we'll just get going on this. Guys, you're watching the Groove Zone Network. This is DJ D Phoenix coming to you live from Tacoma, Washington. With me today, I've got from Seattle, Washington, DJ Duckie. Good morning, Duckie. Hello. But we have the privilege today to be hanging out with Dr. Robert of the Blow Monkeys again. Robert.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
Good to see
What's
you.
new?
What's new?
Yeah. What's new in your world?
Well, the sky was raining mud up until yesterday. I live in southern Spain, and we have this weird weather anomaly where the parts of the Sahara get picked up and dumped on our villages. So everything is covered in a layer of sand.
Really?
So it's slightly biblical and a bit odd. So it's a sort of otherworldly atmosphere.
Wow. And so mud just falls from the sky for a while?
That's right.
Mud falls from...
You know, you've heard it, like I said, it's biblical. So I'm waiting for the frogs next, you know? But, but this is what happens. I mean, the weather, the weird weather pattern. I mean, I'm no expert in this, so I'm way out of my depth now because I'm moving into weather territory here, which is not what I'm good at. But it picks it up, and from the Sahara in certain conditions and certain weather conditions, and dumps it on actually the whole of Europe. It went as far as the UK, I believe. But we got the worst of it because we're right next door to it.
Wow. So
it's been a bit odd, you know. We haven't been able to go out, but it's stopped now.
How wild. There's things like actually you talking about that reminds me, I think it's down in Australia. They get that area where it's just nothing but spider webs. And I don't know if this is an annual thing or what, but nature has some weird ways of acting up and showing itself sometimes.
Well, especially in Australia. I mean, I lived in Australia for 5 years, and they called it New South Wales because when you get there, it reminded, I guess, the first settlers, not the original people, obviously,
right,
but the first settlers of Wales, because it was very green, it was very lush and hilly. But until you looked around and I looked a bit closer and saw these what looked like giant rabbits jumping around the place, these kangaroos and these size of your fist, and they've got some super nature down there.
Wow.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
No, thank you either. But I loved Australia. They've got some good music. They
do, actually. I've always wanted to go. Don't know that I'll ever have an opportunity, but I would love to go there and visit.
Well, I went there when I was a teenager in the 70s.
Okay.
Just as punk broke in 1977.
Okay.
I went there as a 15-year-old, And I thought that I was going to the end of the world and there would be no music, and what the hell was I doing? But in fact, I was totally wrong, because I went into the first band I saw in Sydney were a band called the Saints, who were kind of, they were brilliant. They were kind of punk, but in the way that the Ramones were punk. They were pre-punk, if you know what I mean.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You know? And then I saw a band called Boys Next Door that was Nick Cave's first band.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, no, this is great. It's good stuff here.
No doubt, no doubt.
Anyway, I digress.
No, not at all.
I'm not going to do a Rusty Egan on you and talk. I could talk to you for an hour and stop you asking me any questions.
You can pull a Rusty on us, eh?
You know, yeah, that's what it's called, pulling a Rusty.
Pulling a Rusty. Okay.
It's just a device to not have to answer any. I've spoken to Rusty. I know what he's like. It's a psychological protection mechanism to stop you delving into his psyche.
Clever.
Okay.
Clever man. He is.
Yeah.
Oh,
but see,
guy.
I love the sound of your voice, and the listeners and viewers know the sound of mine. That's the reason why I've got you on with us today, so they can hear somebody else's.
Okay.
Duckie, would you be so kind as to, I'm sure you probably have a question or two that you'd like to bounce off of Robert?
Well, I just got to say, I mean, inevitably that I'm absolutely in love with, your big early hit, Digging Your Scene. I got to tell you, that is a brilliant song, and it moves me. I love that tune. And I never get sick of it, and I never get sick of, trying to sing it. And I have played it tons of times on my, my DJ nights. I've tried to give it lots of, but that one just really, really connects with me. And that song that blows me away. Everything about it. And what maybe, I don't know, inspired you to write that song?
Well, I think that it came out of a time when in the UK anyway, there was a kind of there was a lot of stuff going on about the early AIDS so-called epidemic, and there was a lot of misinformation and a lot of fear being spread, especially by the government at the time.
Right.
And so in other words, it was a very conservative right-wing government led by Margaret Thatcher. I'm sure you remember her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And although I'm not gay, I went to a lot of gay clubs at that time because they were the only clubs that were open in London during the mid-'80s, and a lot of good music and a lot of things were coming out of that scene. And I just thought that these people were being victimized by ignorance because of what was happening in the first wave of people with AIDS. And
right.
So I took that line, God's Revenge, from, I think it was Donna Summer who said that, and later retracted it. But of course, Donna Summer was a gay icon who later got religion, I think. So it was a religious backlash. So there were a lot of things in there. But obviously, I mean, I didn't make a big song and dance about that at the time. And I don't think many people, well, some people picked up on what the song was about. But I always liked doing that with pop music anyway. I always like kind of for the mystery to remain and subliminal messages to sneak in here and there. So that was basically where that song came from. Again, I just sat and wrote it with a little drum machine, kind of thinking Marvin Gaye, I guess. I was inspired by his whole comeback with Sexual Healing, and the fact that he'd done this thing in Belgium with a guy, a little drum machine, and the sparsity and the beat and the feel. So somewhere in my subconscious, I was thinking about that. And but again, I just presented it as another song to the band, and I had no idea that in actual fact it would change our lives, because it did. Because it was the first, we'd had a sniff in England, but it was the first proper hit. But it was a hit all around the world, so it really did change everything for us.
Right.
And we still play it now because I don't know. It's just one of those. It still feels fresh, So you just never know when they come along.
And no other song really sounds like it's got an unusual beat, but it just.
Yeah, I mean, I came over to New York in 1985 to work on it, and it was the first time I'd been to New York. And the record company sent me over and said, "You're going to work with I thought they said Arthur Baker. So and you're going to do a remix of this song, because I had done an original version of the song with the band. And so I went to Unique Studios in New York, which was owned and run by Arthur Baker. And I met a guy there called Michael Baker.
Michael Baker.
And who proceeded to, we worked on the song, and he sort of changed everything. He put the drum machine on, we added backing vocals, we kept my guitar and voice and the strings and lots of the original. Anyway, we had a right, go on it. And I came back to the band in London and said, this is what we've done. But he unfortunately, he'd taken the original band off of it, except for me and the sax player. So the good news was, I think we've got to hit. The bad news is you're not on it.
Oh,
Nice.
But they took it well, and it was a life changer. It was Neville, the sax player, and I were on it. But at that time in the 80s, the Lindrum and replaced everything. That was the sound. So a guy called Axel Kroll did the some programming, and I was just buzzing of the energy and the excitement of being in New York, because I was already hip to a lot of kind of New York sounds I really liked. Early hip hop, early house music was beginning to emerge. All that kind of stuff that was coming out of America inspired me more than, say, like guitar bands. So yeah, it was a happy coincidence.
Music was really bright, and there was so much diversity in the styles that were coming out at that point in time. So when Blow Monkeys hit, it was even fresher than what had just come out like a month or two before that. And I think that I still remember some of your earliest stuff when it hit here, and I mean, it just brings back this whole variety of feelings and memories and everything, but just bright and just like this totally upbeat, positive kind of twist on what was going on. Because at the same time, like what you were just saying, as far as like house music coming out, the kind of the industrial sound was also happening. So some people were kind of going towards the darker side, and some people were kind of staying with that, kind of brighter side. And Blow Monkeys, I don't know, you guys just hit it right on the head in so many
ways. I mean, I never really knew where we stood in terms of our contemporaries, because we weren't really tribal in that way. So, and that sometimes worked to our advantage because it made us stick out. But other times it was a disadvantage, because especially these days when people make playlists and, well, what is it? I mean, I've seen us described in Wikipedia as sophisti-pop. Now, I don't know what sophisti-pop is, but whatever it is, I don't want to be it. I don't want to be it. I never started off as a sort of kid playing guitar thinking, when I go out, I want to be in a sophisti-pop band. No, that was not the aim.
And I have never even heard that up until recently.
I haven't heard it until just now when you said it. I haven't heard it.
Yeah, it's in Wikipedia, but you know what Wikipedia's like. You can't bloody change it.
No.
Oh yeah.
Unless you have a million kind of permission and all sorts of references, but it doesn't really matter. But so references, but it doesn't really matter. But so I don't know. I mean, I just followed my heart, really. I was kind of making it up as I went along. I mean, the very first Blow Monkeys album, I listen to it now and I can hear somebody who doesn't have a clue what they're doing in terms of songwriting.
Well, you'd never know, would you? I mean,
I was kind of, because they were some of the very first songs I wrote. I mean, I was trying in my head to write songs like Bacharach and David, which is what I grew up listening to. But of course, they're very sophisticated, they're very clever, and it takes a lifetime to get anywhere near that. But in my head, that's kind of what I was trying to do. So I guess the striving for that achieved something unique, I guess, in the end, when I listened to it. I mean, there are things I can't listen to, my voice and stuff on it from the time, but, that's more, even that now I see it in terms of, I put it in perspective. So, I can see, why we stood out for a while now.
I'm sorry, but to a degree, I think you still do. Your sound has grown and matured in amazing ways. And I'm sorry, but Dust at Her Feet, Robert, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that, and I just totally love that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's getting better. It's getting better. I'm 40 years down the line, and I think we're getting somewhere.
One would hope so.
Yes.
But I understand what you're saying though too, especially these days, because the people's playlists, you know, you got to put it in a category. And so when you don't necessarily fit into it's not that you're not alternative, because alternative is basically anything but mainstream, but the sophistopop, I think there were like 4 bands in the genre. And if I remember right, it was Blow Monkeys and Baja, if I'm pronouncing that right. Who else? But there were just a couple of bands that were in that. And I think that can throw people off sometimes. If they give your music a full-hearted listen, they'll totally fall in love with it. And it really doesn't matter what category goes on it, because it's just great music.
Yeah, that's it in the end. I mean, I never had any allegiance with any particular thing like that. And, you know, we were just making records. I had no idea what, I still don't, you know. It's just that's the way it's gone, especially on, you know, the world we live in with Spotify, and that they like to know how to categorize that and where they can put that.
Right.
So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm not the one to tell you that, you know, that's someone else's job. If that has to be done.
Well, yeah, for sure. Jeff, did that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Oh, well, yeah, we've got to dig in your seat.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that.
That's not a problem. Not a problem.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, I'm just, thank you for playing it and still liking it, because, like I said, you never know where these things come from. You never know if you've got, like, you know, like the latest album we've done, I kind of felt halfway through that we were onto something, but those moments are rare. There's a lot of craftsmanship and work goes into being a musician, but sometimes things begin to flow.
Right.
And that's when something else enters the room. You know?
Right. And remind the listeners and the viewers, your last album released how long ago again?
It was released in September last year.
That's right. Now, and is that the one that does have Dusted Her Feet on there? No, Dusted Her Feet goes back away.
Yeah.
It is.
It's
okay.
Track one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was another one on there that you shared with me actually before our first interview. And I'm trying to remember what the name of that one is.
Time Storm?
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm finding the newer Blow Monkeys and actually your couple of albums prior to that as well are some of my favorite. I love the classic stuff, but as you guys have progressed though, I'm really digging what I've heard.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this, wouldn't I? But I'll be honest with you. I think Journey to You is the best album we've ever made.
Okay.
I honestly do. Because in terms of consistency, in terms of me. Time Storm, you've got no place to forget. All done and dusted. I'm all forgotten. What's wrong? We wanted everything the same. There's always someone else to blame when things go wrong. Singing from the heart, or finding that kind of weird soul thing that you can't, it's hard to describe. Something beyond the intellect, something where I'm just, where I'm not editing myself, where I'm just allowing something to flow through me. I think the lockdown suited me. You know, when COVID came along, I didn't really have to change my lifestyle that much because I'm a little bit of a hermit anyway. And so I thought, oh, great. Well, okay. I don't even have to go out now. I can sit here and read books and listen to music and write and play with my dogs and that's what I did. And then I looked up and we had an album. So it, you know, it came out of that a period of peace. So obviously for a lot of people it was quite traumatic. But I think that the initial three months of lockdown, especially here anyway, were a little portal into another way of life for some people. You know, it was a little glimpse of, oh, you know, I don't have to get on that train every day and commute to work, or this life that I was being told, that I was being sold, that at the end of it I'd get a pension and an insurance policy and blah, blah. All this was a lie.
Right.
And all those certainties are not, that's not a life well led. So, you know, I think there was a real little opportunity there, you know, to sort of, to taste something different. Of course, the powers that be pretty soon want to corral you back into their way of being, because that's how capitalism works. Yeah. But you know, it was so for me it was a moment, and I think that was another thing that was another something else entered the room when I was doing that album, you know. So and also, you know, well, I guess I'm after all this time, you know, I'm better at spotting early on whether a song is worth pursuing or not.
Right. What does oh God, there was something I wanted to ask. How many of the original band members are still, is it still the original lineup?
It's three of us. It's me, Mick Anker on the bass guitar, Neville Henry on the sax, and we have Crispin Taylor, who played on the last two Blow Monkeys albums.
Okay.
Crispin comes from I've known him a long time. He was in a band before called Galliano, who are on acid jazz, a kind of sort of London funk collective. So he brings a kind of swing and swagger to it. Before that, we had Tony, who was fantastic, but Tony's gone off and done something else. Okay. So, yeah, Crispin is the new member.
Nice. Wow. I kind of figured that it was a couple of the original members along with yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I had thought.
Yes, I mean, the saxophone player is very recognizably us, I think. I don't think really we could do anyone else. Neville was he was the guy that I met first. He was the original Blow Monkey.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did that thing of I came back from Australia when I was 19 to London, and I answered an ad in the back of Melody Maker, which was the music press.
Right.
To join a band, because that's what you did in those days. So I went along and I met Neville, and we decided after one rehearsal that we would sack off the rest of the band and form our own band. And I said, oh, that's because, I've got loads of songs. I was lying. I had loads of songs, but they were terrible. But anyway, he stuck with it long enough. We got Mick in, and we gradually, you know, things started. It took a long time. It took 3 years of, we didn't know anybody in London. We knew nothing. So it was a hard time. But in those days, you could sort of survive, you know, under the radar. These days, they probably send a drone around and say, so what are you doing? Are you looking for work? Are you paying? I don't know. But in those days, it was a bit more friendly to artists. I feel sorry for people now. This is why in England, you only get middle-class bands, because it's very difficult. It's very difficult now. You know, they don't encourage it. So we came from we were lucky to be left alone for those 3 years to find our sound, to find ourselves.
Wow. Where does the band's name come from? What's the genesis of the name Blow Monkeys?
That was our original drummer, Angus. He was too good looking, so we had to sack him. But I think he might have been tripping one night. And anyway, we had our first gig comes along at some pub in the East End of London, and we need a name. And he said, the Blow Monkeys. And I thought, oh, that's quite cool, because it's got elements of jazz and pop with the Monkeys.
Right.
And so, and I thought, yeah, that'll do for now. I'll change it. And of course, you never can. You never do. You never get it. It's too late. It's like Dr. Robert. I put it on the first single sleeve because I didn't want just to be my, you know, I thought, well, you need a name. Everybody's got a name, you know. Everybody changed their name. Everybody had a pseudonym. I'll do that, and then I'll think of something better. So
40 years later.
So 40 years later, the most asked question in my whole life is, why do you call yourself Dr. Robert, and where does the name the Blow Monkeys come from? And I don't really have a satisfactory answer to either. But there you go.
Oh no, I asked a question that's been asked a zillion times. Sorry.
Yeah, but I gave you the proper answer. I mean, I have made up so many stupid answers down the line. You know.
Well, thank you for being forthcoming about that.
You got an exclusive. You got the truth.
Yes.
Because that's what we're all about.
Scoop them all.
Gosh. Hey, before I forget, could I please get another plug from you? Would that be all right for the network?
Yes.
Would that be all right? The Groove Zone. The Groove Zone.
Yes.
Whatever you want. I'm sorry.
Okay. You ready?
Whenever you are.
Hello, this is Dr. Robert from the Blow Monkeys on the Groove Zone.
Rock and roll.
Okay.
Awesome. Jeff, I'm gonna let you do this one because I don't have my questions in front of me. Is there something else that you would like to bounce off of Robert while we're hanging with him?
Sure. Let's see. Major musical influences for you.
Well, I would start off with Glenn Miller because that was the first thing that I ever heard.
Love Glenn Miller.
Yeah, I love Glenn Miller. I saw the Glenn Miller story, the film.
Yeah, James Stewart.
James Stewart when I was a kid.
Good movie.
And it just stayed with me. So my mum bought me a Best of Glenn Miller album when I was young, and I played that endlessly, and I know every tune on it back, every melody is in my head. So
that's so great.
Glenn Miller's where it started. I also had two sisters who were 10 years older than me. So they went through the whole 60s.
Okay.
So, and my mum, you know, my mum as well was a big music fan. She was Scottish. She sang a lot of Scottish folk songs and Gaelic folk songs with my sister. And then my sisters would buy all the Beatles singles. And like I said before, the Bacharach and David. So in England, that would be people like Dusty Springfield.
Right.
In America, it was Dionne Warwick.
Okay.
Motown was big in my house, and then when I got to the age of buying records, my first, as well as is well known, my first musical kind of hero was Mark Bolan, because he was a massive, especially in the UK, he was a massive star right at the beginning of the 70s, before David Bowie.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, with Hot Love and Get It On and all that. I know he's not as well known in the States, but it was also a visual thing. When you saw him, it was the beginning of that kind of glam thing. It was definitely a place where you could say, well, I'm different to my parents, and I'm also different to the 60s. You know, it was the beginning. Yeah. So then he would come along, and a lot of soul music, and then again, by the time I'm 15 or 16, punk hits, and the first record I hear was. I was in my 40s at the time, but anyway, I was so thrilled. And I played with Dr. John. I did a similar thing where I did a support with him.
Oh wow!
You know, New Orleans, man. You know, Professor Longhair. You know, Alan Toussaint.
Nice.
So you know, as you know, we're a bit like nerdish about all that kind of stuff in the UK, American soul music. So that's where it came from, really.
What has been your biggest starstruck moment in your life? Like who was it that you met that you were just like kind of falling all over yourself? You couldn't believe that you were actually there speaking with them. Do you remember? And it doesn't necessarily...
I mean, this will be somebody that you've never heard of, because it's a guy that plays cricket.
Okay.
Cricket is again, we're going back to but there's a West Indian guy who was the greatest cricketer of all time, a guy called Vivian Richards. Okay. And he looked a bit like Smoking Joe Frazier, you know what I mean? He had a sort of chewing gum and he stood there like that. And I met him once in Sydney when I was living there. And he's the only person I've ever asked for an autograph.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So Vivian Richards.
Vivian Richards, okay.
A West Indian cricket player.
I'll have to look
at him. I'm not impressed. Other than that, I'm not, you know, I don't get started. I mean, I know what, you know, I'm thrilled. I would have loved to have met David Bowie. I never met David Bowie. That was because I had so much respect for him.
Right.
Especially, but not many.
And what's funny is that you guys actually, to a degree, ran in the same circles in a lot of ways.
We did. I think actually he came to a gig of ours in LA with Julian Temple, who he was working with at the time, but we never met. So I would have that's a regret. But no, other than that, no, I'm not.
I think that would be a cool thing, though, to know that Bowie came and listened to me play.
Well, see, he might not have liked it, which was maybe why he didn't speak. I don't know.
No.
I'll just pretend that he did like it.
I'm sure
Yeah.
he loved you guys.
Maybe
Otherwise
they didn't
Otherwise, he wouldn't have been there.
Well, maybe they didn't recognize him at the stage door when he was trying to come back and get your autograph.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe that's it. They turned him away. I'll live with that. That's the story.
I see we are right about the 5-minute mark. So I wanted to say thank you again so much, Robert, for putting some time aside.
My pleasure.
And by the way, we are still on for a game of pool, at least one, when you guys make it up to the Northwest area here in the States.
You're absolutely on.
I'm brushing up.
I'm don't worry, I'll be practicing.
Oh yeah, well you're the former pool shark, so
yeah, not
really?
So much former. Well, my eyes are not as good as they were, but you had to make a living in those early days when music wasn't paying the rent.
So hanging out in the pool halls.
Yeah.
A regular hustler.
You send me a link to any stuff and I'll share it all as well.
Awesome. And I think you had said that last time too. And we're actually coming up on the end of the project. 2 of our programs will still continue to go on. We're kind of just going through this phase right now. We're seeing where we're going to go with all of this. Wow. I'm ready to take a break for a while though. In fact, and I'll edit this out, I had a heart attack a couple weeks ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Totally out of the blue, and life's been really rough the last 3 weeks. So I figured now's a good time. We're coming up on the end of our contract. I need to take a bit of a breather and kind of regroup a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
well, look, all I can say is that I had a heart attack 10 years ago.
Did you?
Oh my goodness.
And I'm fine. And it was, for me, it was undetected high blood pressure. I didn't even know I had it. It was genetic.
Really?
But I made a few changes, and actually, I never felt better. So hopefully it works in a positive way for you, even though initially it's a bit of a wake up call.
Oh, exactly. And that's I think I'm taking away from it so far. That's what it is. It's a wake up call. Yeah. I've already had to start making some definite changes in my
I was in my 40s at the time, but anyway, I was so thrilled. And I played with Dr. John. I did a similar thing where I did a support with him.
Oh wow!
New Orleans, man. Professor Longhair. Alan Toussaint.
Nice.
So as you know, we're a bit like nerdish about all that kind of stuff in the UK, American soul music. So that's where it came from, really.
What has been your biggest starstruck moment in your life? Like who was it that you met that you were just like kind of falling all over yourself and you couldn't believe that you were actually there speaking with them? Do you remember? And it doesn't necessarily...
I mean, this would be somebody that you've never heard of, because it's a guy that plays cricket.
Okay.
Cricket is again, we're going back to but there's a West Indian guy who was the greatest cricketer of all time, a guy called Vivian Richards.
Okay.
And he looked a bit like Smoking Joe Frazier, you know what I mean? He had a sort of chewing gum and he stood there like that. And I met him once in Sydney when I was living there. And he's the only person I've ever asked for an autograph.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So Vivian Richards.
Vivian Richards. Okay.
West Indian cricket player.
I'll have to look.
I'm not impressed. Other than that, I'm not. I don't get started. I mean, I know what I'm thrilled. I would have loved to have met David Bowie. I never met David Bowie. That was because I had so much respect for him.
Right.
But not many.
And what's funny is that you guys actually, to a degree, ran in the same circles in a lot of ways.
We did. I think actually he came to a gig of ours in LA with Julian Temple, who he was working with at the time, but we never met. So I would have that's a regret. But no, other than that, no, I'm not.
I think that would be a cool thing, though, to know that Bowie came and listened to me play. You know?
Well, see, he might not have liked it, which is maybe why he didn't speak. I don't know.
No.
I'll just pretend that he did like it.
I'm sure he
Yeah.
loved you guys.
Maybe
Otherwise,
they didn't recognize.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have been there.
Well,
Right.
maybe they didn't recognize him at the stage door when he was trying to come back and get your autograph.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe maybe that's it. They turned him away. I'll live with that. That's the story.
I see we are right about the 5-minute mark. So I wanted to say thank you again so much, Robert, for putting some time aside.
My pleasure.
You can dance if you want to.
Experience the new alternative.
Get ready